I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our 11th mentoring session. Tonight is May 13th, 2021. We're going to be talking about transforming and healing my quantum field.
I don't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear. Oh,
Start over.
we'll start over here. We're May 13th, 2021. This is our 11th mentoring session during this 12 weeks. And we're going to be talking about transforming and healing my quantum field. Now, this is a very interesting subject. I'm going to ask Vicki real quick. Did you start the video? Okay, good. And this is quite the thing tonight. Boy, it looks like my thing's not working here. There we go. So transforming and healing my quantum field. Righteousness, as we've been teaching every time, we've kind of pounded this into you, is the rightful use of energy. Christ consciousness is the way of righteousness, which means when we are using the rightful use of energy, we are freeing people and empowering people. And freedom and empowerment is a gift to all by God. You know, when our founding fathers did the Declaration of Independence, they said that every man is endowed, which gifted by God, for freedom and the ability to have everything that we need as human beings, as long as we don't take it away from others or cause harm to others, we are in good shape. So, you know, the way of righteousness is using the energy correctly. Loving thoughts and unconditional selfless service is the mystical power which gives power to the whole. Using Christ consciousness or love in all things leads to our ascension. Now there's a lot I've got to get through tonight, but I tried to break it down very easily. We're going to talk about the Newtonian Paradigm, which is where 3D exists without consideration of the quantum field. And they call it the Newtonian Paradigm because Newtonian was actually the one, Isaac Newton was the one who described what the Newtonian Paradigm is. Determinism. In other words, we don't have any freedom. Things happen to us just because they happen. Separatism. We're all separate and we're all divided and we all have different angles at everything. Reductionism and materialism. We're going to go through each of these four things. The Newtonian paradigm, determinism. If determinism is true, then all of a person's choices are caused by events and facts outside of our control. So if everything somebody does is caused by events and facts outside their control, then they cannot be the ultimate cause of their actions. Therefore, they cannot have free will. Now, doesn't this sound interesting? There's people who are taking away our free will, and they believe in determinism. They are determined to take over the planet, and they don't care what they do to us, and they feel that if they plan something and they carry it out, that it's going to affect all of us and determine what happens to us despite free will. Now, they do follow one of the rules, which is they show us what they're going to do to us through movies, through the media, through entertainment. But that doesn't cancel our free will. Free will, according to the Newtonian paradigm, is an illusion, and our behavior is governed by the internal or external forces over which we have no control. Now, separatism is the advocacy of cultural, ethnic, tribal, religious, racial, and government or gender separation from the larger group. This is the definition of separatism. Now, they're making everybody in their own groups, and even transsexuals and hermaphrodites, all these different things, they're classifying and they're trying to put it into they. And as with succession, separatism conventionally refers to full political separation. So they've put a further divide within the country, and they're dividing us up and make us believe we're all racist, or we're all perverted, or we are all separatists, and that we are all doing everything out of our own paradigm. And this is the Newtonian paradigm. So, reductionism is an approach that is used in many disciplines, including psychology, that is centered on the belief that we can best explain something by breaking it down into its individual parts. Now, Newton did this with all of his math. You know, he did calculus and trigonometry. He did all these different things, separating the parts down and having equations which demonstrated that everything had its separate energy, it had its separate motion, it had its separate definitions, everything into its individual parts. Now, the other thing under Newtonian paradigm is materialism is the philosophical belief that the world is made of material and that there are no types of entity or things. Everything is composed of material. We are composed of the dust of the earth, and there's no soul. You know, in this paradigm, it's only matter or material, and things are not made just of material, as we know. Consciousness are the results of actions, and in reality, matter is in the Newtonian paradigm, matter is the only real substance, and consciousness isn't even considered. They think our brain is totally separate from a soul or consciousness, and it's a tendency to consider material possessions and physical comfort as more important than spiritual values. Where'd that slide go? Okay, so in the quantum paradigm, it's totally different. In other words, we live in a quantum world that is made of material that is not solid, that is not matter. And one of the descriptions of this is that it's complementary. So it completes something else, making it better, serving as a complement. And it's used of two or more things when each adds something to the other or helps to make the other better. And everything goes together well, and we work together well. So we complement each other. Now, this is a very important quantum paradigm statement because it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to help each other and complement each other and make things work well together. So just know that Newtonian, which is what the cabal is trying to keep us in this material, heavy mass, and what we're doing is we're moving more towards the quantum paradigm or other ways of thinking about things. And this is very important. Now, another quantum paradigm is called contextual. Now, the definition of contextual is depending on the context or the surrounding words, phrases, and paragraphs of the writing. Now, an example of contextual is how the word read can have two different meanings, depending on what words are around it. Now, when we talk about context, it means we need to educate ourselves. Now, they're trying to put things out of context with this separatism, and they're changing our definitions. They're changing, even what a pandemic used to mean is no longer considered the correct definition. And now they changed the definition so that this new virus could be explained as a pandemic. Now, pan means the whole earth. Demic is it's in the whole world. And so, my old definition that I went by, when you had a pandemic, you had at least 50,000 people die in 3 separate countries in the world. And that was considered a pandemic. And they called this a pandemic before even 25,000 people died. So it's quite interesting how we've changed the definitions. Now, in the quantum paradigm, we're consciously created and connected on 4 levels of consciousness. Now, in the Newtonian paradigm, you're not connected at all. Remember, it's not a unity consciousness, it's separatism. But in the quantum paradigm, there's 4 levels. Now, there's the unconscious incompetent, or in other words, the unconscious person who doesn't even know what he doesn't know. And believe it or not, half the planet is like that right now. They don't know because they don't even know what they don't know, and they're all just manipulated under this separatism and determinism and all the things that are going on in the Newtonian. Now, the other level of consciousness is unconscious competent. This person lurches uncontrollably forward towards success without knowing how it even happens. They don't realize that God is a part of our consciousness. So they're unconscious of the spiritual aspect, but they're doing everything they can to get ahead. And this is not a quantum consciousness. Now there's the conscious incompetent. They do the right thing, but they don't even know why they're doing it. And believe it or not, about 25% of the population is in this category. The conscious competent is about 10%, believe it or not. We've got a lot of people asleep right now, and we need to wake them up, bring them out of the unconscious incompetent, and bring them into consciousness. Now, the conscious competent is the highest state, where you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you're doing it all for the right reasons. So you know why you're giving selfless service. You know why you love your neighbor as yourself. You know why you love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. So this is a very important that we get into conscious competence, because that's where we'll get into the ascension. Now, the quantum paradigm, the consciously connected and competent doer who knows the why. And you can ask, do I really exist in this consciousness? And guess what? If you're asking that question, you're in the conscious incompetent. And so what you want to do is know the why. Why do we do everything? Now, consciousness includes breathing. When God created man and woman, then he breathed the consciousness into them so that they knew who they were and how connected they were. and they became conscious competent. Now, conscious breathing benefits all of us. The breath detoxifies, releasing toxins, and strengthens the immune system. Now, the breath increases our energy because we're breathing in the prana, not just oxygen. Now, breath improves the respiratory system. So when we're breathing deeply, it actually opens up our entire lungs and it improves our respiratory system. People who do meditation and the breathing associated with it actually have a better lifespan because they're bringing in more prana and more oxygen into their bodies. Now you think about this whole mask thing, you're actually decreasing your oxygenation and possibly even blocking the prana from coming in because you're in fear. And the prana is the love of God. It's the energy of God. And that prana gives us our life force and enhances our lives with the laws of God. So, breath improves the respiratory system. Breath calms the nervous system. Now you think about the masks, we're not breathing as good. We're breathing more shallow. And it makes us more anxious, more fearful. And the cabal know this, and that's why they're commanding us to wear masks, mandating it, making it a rule and a law without it becoming a law. It's quite interesting how this whole thing explains how they're trying to keep us in the Newtonian paradigm. Breath strengthens the lymphatic system, and guess what? When your lymph's doing better, your immune system does better. And so breath strengthens our immune system. So the whole mask thing is off kilter, I tell you. It's the most amazing thing I've seen, especially when I studied this quantum paradigm of how our breath is so important. Breath releases muscle tension. So it can relax your muscles, relax your body, relax your ligaments and tendons as you breathe in life. And breath keeps us looking more youthful. They've actually found that meditators age slower. And one of the reasons why we're getting more oxygen, we're getting more prana, we're relaxing better. We are anti-aging through the breath work. So conscious breathing benefits everything in our life. The quantum paradigm versus Newtonian. Now, Newton lived during the Black Plague. And, just like in this plague, a lot of people just stayed inside. They didn't want to get infected. And so Newton stayed in his household, and he just looked at everything, and he learned how to do different mathematical equations and taught calculus, the laws of motion, the law of optics, trigonometry, and architecture, but only in the 3D. He didn't actually look at things in a quantum level, but looked at them as matter. And all his laws determined how matter acted. And he did all of the mathematics with it, all the physics with it, and that's what he taught to everybody around him. But it wasn't necessarily taking into consideration that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, which the quantum teachings, the quantum theories actually explain living in what we call the omniverse. A lot of people used to call it the multiverse because it had different dimensions and everything. But omni means it never ends. So we have multiple dimensions, multiple paradigms, multiple times. And everything does not explain everything, but through the quantum we can explain a lot of things. The quantum physicists teach the quantum entanglement, the string theory. Everything is connected through electromagnetic energy in the 5D. And there's many things that we have yet to discover. That's why they call it an omniverse, because it never ends and there's lots more to learn. Now, one of the things in the quantum paradigm, it explains why we are telepathically and energetically connected. Our communication goes through a vibration, and we add the magnetic energy to it, making it electromagnetic, and it penetrates space and time. Now, tele means distance communication. Pathos or pathelia meaning feeling, perception, passion, affliction, experience. Our emotions add magnetism to our vibration and electrical energy. And it is purported vicarious transmission of information from one person to another without using any known human sensory channels like our speech or our facial expressions are considered physical, and our hearing is definitely physical. And so this physical interaction pulls different energies and communications, and it can still be miscommunicated, whereas telepathy doesn't make any mistakes. You know, one of the things I learned from talking to all of the secret space soldiers, they needed to watch their thoughts, because whenever they were passing by an alien that was very telepathic, they could read their thoughts. And, you know, if they looked ugly or an ugly creature, if the human was thinking that, that being would understand what the human was saying to them telepathically, and they'd get angry at them because they understood what their thoughts were. And so we've got to be controlling our thoughts and what we say. It's very important. Thoughts are things, and when we speak, we put out a frequency. And sometimes, you know, there's reverse, they've been doing a lot of this, of the reverse translation of speech. And you're saying things under your tones that can be reversed and reveal your thoughts that are going on in your mind. And it's interesting because Louisa on the Goldfish Report has had, you know, one of these people who do the reverse translation of speech. And it's quite fascinating to see what they're actually saying to us. As the evil people speak, they actually reveal through their speech the undertones of what they're really saying. And it's quite fascinating. Now I'm going to show Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because this actually shows us a lot of what's going on. Now these two bottom levels of safety and physiologic needs, these are all 3D needs. These are in the Newtonian paradigm. And if you look at it, we have to breathe, we have to eat food, we have to drink water, sex is a part of it, sleep is a part of it, homeostasis, so we have to keep our body in homeostasis or balance, or we can die. And excretion, we need to get rid of all the waste products. Now, the security of the body is very important. Employment, resources, morality, and having a family and continuing the species, health, knowing how to keep ourselves healthy, and owning property. Now, why are these important? Because right now, we're having our breathing affected. Believe it or not, our property is being bought up by all the billionaires, And guess how they're buying our property? They're buying up all the mortgages right now. Bill Gates owns more mortgage companies than any other human on earth. He also owns most of the property. So they're trying to control all of this 3D paradigm through their billions and billions of dollars. And quite frankly, there was even a thing come out with certain mortgage companies that Bill Gates bought, and he's demanding that people not only keep up with their payments, but they go get vaccines, because he's going to foreclose on their property if they don't get the vaccines. Now, this has a very diabolical second part. The vaccines aren't what they seem. They're telling us that it's for controlling this pandemic, but there's more to it than that. It's all about controlling the humans, because there's things in these that are actually going to cause several different things that they're talking about on the internet. My wife is motioning to me that I don't talk about these things, but you know what they are. And if you don't, you do your research, because there's things happening to the people who are getting vaccinated that are changing their humanism. And as you know, there's an agenda of transhumanism with these ultra-rich people. They want to turn us into robots, and they want to control us. And that's the bottom line. And they're going to control us in all ways possible in this lower echelon. Now, in this area, this is a quantum. You're moving up higher into the quantum as you go up. Friendship, family, sexual intimacy. They're also hitting these things. They're making the children turn against the fathers, which was prophesied would happen in the last days. They're making it so you can't even trust your friends anymore, because your friends have other motives. And they're teaching us these things through the media, through the mind control, through the programming. Sexual intimacy means being with one partner. And quite frankly, they're making it look like it's okay to go have sex with whatever you want, even animals and even children. And it's awful what they're teaching humanity currently. They're pulling us out of our love and belonging, which is very sad. Now, when we look at self-esteem, we need to build confidence. We need to have achievements. We need to create things and have respect of others and be respected by others. In other words, loving your neighbor as thyself. So you need to respect yourself before you can respect anybody else. So have some self-respect and follow the commandments of God, because those are what build our soul and our self-respect. And it also builds our confidence, and we create and achieve things through these higher thoughts and our higher self-esteem. Now, you look at the self-actualization, which is an interesting term. It's becoming a better human being, the best you can be. And it includes morality. See, they're cutting out morality out of everything. Creativity. Actually, when we are enslaved, our creativity goes down. And enslavement is happening currently. Spontaneity means we're spontaneous. We actually can do things in the moment and do things for the betterment of humanity and do it spontaneously. And we're problem-solving human beings. We don't have prejudice. They're telling us we're all prejudiced, but that's not true. Just because you're told something on the media doesn't mean it's real. And quite frankly, I think we here in the United States have some of the least prejudiced human beings on the planet. And the acceptance of the facts. Now, this is a kind of an interesting thing. You accept what's going on, and in my opinion, you can accept it, but you can also shift it to a higher state of being. So you don't have to accept everything. You can create better things. Now, the Newtonian paradigm versus the quantum paradigm. Separatism is the advocacy of cultural, ethnic, tribal, religious, racial, governmental, or gender separation from the larger group, which is all of us human beings. So we've been being separated into all these different things. As with succession, separatism conventionally refers to full political separation and division of power out of the whole, or we the people. Now, the creation of fear and separatism creates chaos, anarchy, power struggles, disunity, and can stop our evolution with destructionism. Now, this is very important that you look at this statement right here, because this is exactly what is being done right now. And it's because they want to keep us in the Newtonian paradigm, in this 3D. They do not want humanity evolving into higher beings of light and love, because if that happens, they lose control. They want control over all of us, so they're separating us. They're causing fear. They're making us not trust one another. They're causing chaos, anarchy. You know, the whole thing that went on last year and this year, they're literally letting criminals go out and do their thing without any type of consequence. You know, and with God's laws, if you disobey God's laws, you lie, cheat, steal, you're amoral, you don't help one another. This is what we're talking about. They're actually out there destroying people's businesses. They're destroying their homes. You know, the billionaires are buying up everything, and they're taking ownership over everything. So we're losing our freedom of property and being able to gather even in religious ceremony and talk with one another. They're cutting out our abilities to move into higher planes and educate each other. Quantum brings freedom. Quantum paradigm is all about humans being free to make their choices, but also being free to teach each other the right thing to do, the way of righteousness, the way of God. And so, you know, it also teaches us about unity consciousness, truth. You know, right now we're being lied to day in and day out by the people in power. And, you know, you can't believe anything that's coming out of their mouths anymore. And it's made us lose our respect for these people. But not only that, it's taken away our self-esteem, it's taken away our creativity, it's taken away our confidence, our achievements. And quantum brings these things to us. Morality, benefit of the whole, compassion and love consciousness. All these things are the quantum paradigm, that we are one. And that's God's law, the law of one. So when we go back and look at this, we can see exactly what's happening. They're taking our very base organization and they're making it harder for us to be in these higher states of creation. So what do? We need to meditate and pray and have faith in God that God is in charge. Because guess what happens when you have faith and you believe that God is in charge? God draws nearer to us when we're grateful, full of love, gratitude. The Spirit is drawn near. Now, when we go down the spirit goes away, especially when we're being in fear, anxiety, and worried about death. We should never worry about death because we are eternal electromagnetic souls. Our souls never die. Our energy never goes away. Now, they are constructing devices through the 5G that not only put energy out to our cell phones, but they are receivers of energy, not just of the cell phones, but they're constructing, putting these little transmitters into the things, the jabs, and these things are multiplying in our body and actually transmitting our energy. So if you're feeling really, really tired and it's getting worse, it's because you're manufacturing things that are sucking your energy out of your body. So we can do something about this, but I can't talk about it over the air, so we won't do that. Now, crystals. You know, it's so fascinating. When we went to Warm Springs, Arkansas, and we went to the place where all the crystals were, they actually have a lake there that was a man-made lake. They filled it up with water because there were so many crystals in there that the military didn't want everybody gathering them up. So they built a lake over it. So you'd have to dive down in order to get anything. But they even fenced it off because crystals have beautiful transmission energy. In fact, I do crystal healings on people, and I have a couple coming up here soon. And you use different crystals on different parts of the body, and it actually helps to heal the body. Now, crystals are used in computers. They're used in the cloud. They store not only energy, but they store information. And they can store infinite information. Our Earth has huge crystals within the inside of our Earth, and it has energy and stores information. Our Earth is a magnificent living being and has many features. But as we look at these different crystals and their association with our different energy centers, it's quite fascinating to find that all the crystals can associate with different parts of our body, and they can heal our body. And bringing in the energy to our energy system is one way we can heal very rapidly. Now, as you look at this is the Hindu model, and some people have changed these a little bit, and even up in here, you know, and so I feel like this is more proper, and the information is very good. You know, our first chakra is all about survival and grounding us to the earth, loving the earth. Our second chakra is all about our creativity, not just creating more human beings, but creating things, different things like the 24-strand DNA into our bodies. And this is where we create that, and it extends out into the rest of the body because all these energy centers are interconnected. In the third chakra, the solar plexus, it's all about our power and our emotions, and we add emotions to this. We have negative emotions and positive emotions in the 3D. Now, as we move up into the fourth energy center, that's our heart energy, and it's very important to connect to this heart energy with everything. And in fact, the higher beings, especially Jesus and Saint Germain, are telling me to breathe in God's love into your heart first, and then distribute it to the rest of your body through your heart's love. Now, when you get the pure love of God in your heart, this energy changes from green to pink, which is quite fascinating. And our fifth chakra, or throat chakra, we need to speak with the love of God. We need to hear things with the love of God and not judge people, not make different decisions that make us more separate, but bring us together with what we hear and what we speak. And then the third eye, our vision, we need to see people through God's love, and we need to receive that love into our own body from everyone around us, and use that vision to create love, not separation. This is the quantum way of thinking. Now, the seventh chakra, or the crown chakra, is our inspiration. It connects us to our mighty I Am Presence, and our mighty I Am Presence is always connected to God. So when we bring the love of God into our seventh chakra, everything my thoughts that I think about and that I choose to think about is with the love of God. So you're always correcting things with the love of God. Now, the love of God not only corrects things, it makes you follow the righteous way, or the way of truth, the way of righteousness, the way of love. So, connecting to the eighth chakra, which is our mighty I Am Presence, is very vital, because you send that God's love to your eighth chakra, and guess what? It sends it right back and augments it in your body. So a very vital thing. Now, this is the same slide I'm using each week because this is so important. Yoga moves energy in the body, especially the Kundalini yoga. And so it's important that you associate yourself with yogis and do yoga, because it really helps stretch your fascia, it helps stretch your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your body. It makes you more flexible and it makes you healthier. Now, meditation with the focused breathing that we talked about, it really helps us live longer and become more beautiful. And yoga makes us become more beautiful. So doing detoxes and cleanses, removing the fluoride chemicals, toxins, chloride, all these different things really helps our bodies be healthier, and it helps us to be more connected to the quantum field. Now, taking herbal remedies. I've always said that the herbs are God's medicine. Now, what do I mean by that? The herbs, I've learned, for every malady, God created an herb to treat that disease or that thing that's wrong in the body. And all we have to do is ask for guidance, and we'll be led to the right place. Or, I've been out hiking and I've had a problem, and I ask God, okay, which of these plants will help me? And I'm literally led to a plant that will assist me in feeling better. And so I take it and I suck on it and I swallow it, and it makes me feel better. It's quite fascinating how all of us have this ability. We just have to ask for God's guidance. Now, if you feel like you just don't have that guidance, go see a spiritual herbalist or an intuitive spiritual reader, and they will help assist you with finding these things. Now, using crystals and locating crystals near your body, especially quartz, and blessing them to direct energy to you and to protect you. Crystals actually have so much energy that they can actually protect you from negative energies. And so, very important. And I clear my crystals all the time. I take them out in the sun, and I let the sun put that good plasma, love, and photonic vibrations into my crystals. And I found that enhances their energy, and they love to be out in the sun. and absorbing those photons, the plasma and the love. Creating sacred space with statues, pictures of ascended masters. Now, this brings the quantum beings into our lives. And it's very important that we ask them to come to us and teach us and pester them. I ask them every day till I get an answer. I don't just stop. I mean, it took me 6 months of asking day in, day out to get the 24-strand DNA manifestation. And then I received also the decrees for putting my world in divine order, which is protection around all of the good things we're creating. And so there are ways of helping us that use the quantum energies. And, you know, today I did some toning on the people who came into the office, and they felt the energy and they felt the healing start immediately when I was doing the toning. So singing, toning, chanting, all of these vibrational energies with the intent to be healing, to draw the divine to us. It is very powerful. As we bring the love of God into our 8th energy center for the quantum healing, everything we create changes. Knowing God is in charge changes our perceptions of the world and organizes it with the love or Christ consciousness. So it's so important that we send love back to God. You know, as we send love to our higher Mayan presence, we are sending love to God because we are a part of God. So as we send it to our mighty I Am presence, we're actually sending it to God. We begin to trust more. We will be provided all that we require to live and thrive. Now, what does it mean to thrive? Thriving means you're not just doing okay in life, you're doing really well. And your body's doing well. Your children are doing well. Everything around you expands with the consciousness of God. And so we have to trust that we will be provided for, which trust is expressing faith, and God, the angels, the ascended beings will provide for us. So when you meditate, and I pray you're all meditating, even if it's just sitting there and watching your breath come in and out of your body. You know, I was taught when I did Tai Chi that you draw that prana in. You literally bring it into your different chakras, moving your hands. Our hands, I learned, move energy. And that's why I use my hands a lot. You'll see me talking and I'll expand, I'll do different motions, and I'm actually speaking the language and the motion of God. Because all of these movements, dance is a movement of God. You know, everything has to do with motion. And emotion is an expression of motion and creates electromagnetic energy. And so as we move, we have piezoelectric energy being generated in our bones even, our joints. Every part of our body, as we've talked about this, there's piezoelectric energy going throughout our body, and we can expand on that by bringing in more of God's love. So, as you breathe, I tell people, you know, watch the breath coming in and watch the breath going out. Watch it coming in and watch it going out. And then expand on that to watch the love of God coming in. Watch the love of God going out. Watch the love of God going in. Watch the love of God going out. You know, what we're doing is we're bringing those energies. Our intent and our thought creates possibilities. And we create those possibilities in the quantum field. And as we breathe in, We bring them in from the quantum field and even from the void. And as we breathe out, we send it back out. And that's being very grateful for what we're receiving and giving, because we're all connected. When we connect to that energy of the quantum through our breathing, we are augmenting our bodies, we're augmenting the quantum. We're bringing it in, we're bringing it out. And it's the flow of energy that makes us alive and expand. It expands our consciousness. It expands our sensations and feelings. And the love generates beautiful energy within our bodies that expands even further out to God and all the people around us. So God's love, organization, and perfection enters in through your breath. And when you breathe out, it goes out to all of the other humans out there. Because we are interconnected through this quantum field. Whether you like to think so or not, we are all connected through every thought we have, every emotion we have, all our breathing, everything connects to the quantum or the unity consciousness. So by adding this to the end of each of our meditations, our energy centers will shift each day into higher states of energy and greater possibilities, bringing healing, organization, good cellular changes, strengthening our organs, strengthening our glands, our bones, our ligaments, tendons, systems, and total health to new levels. And we also begin to receive the powers of God, which means we can start creating even faster the things we desire in our life. So transforming and healing our quantum connection. For all of this, I send forth the deepest gratitude. And I know I talk about gratitude a lot, but gratitude, they've actually shown that you have a torus when you're breathing and meditating, and it gets bigger, and it makes all of your chakras ignite and get brighter. But when you have gratitude, it actually activates a secondary torus that draws in the blessings of heaven, draws in the abundance. It's the ultimate receivership of the love of God and all of the blessings of God. So just know it's very important to stay in gratitude. So now is the present moment, time to love yourself, love your neighbor as yourself, and it's time to focus perfection and love in the earth, heal your art fields, energy bodies and physical body. Mental thought creates intent, thought creates creation, and energy and action and cause and effect construct personality. Our personality creates our personal reality, and our personal reality assists in the collective reality, our world reality, universal affecting reality, and the quantum reality. So, in summary, we need to clear our negative thoughts each day, spend time each day doing meditation, visualizing, creating new energies into our energy centers. We have to have the intent to love our life, no matter how bad it's been. You know, I've been dead 3 times and had near-death experiences 5 times. And, you know, I still love my life. And I've had bad times, don't get me wrong. I've had some miserable times, but more loving thoughts, sounds, and visions, a more love-filled life and unity love consciousness makes you love every experience you've had. So thank you for listening. We're going to go to questions now. Our assignment this week is I am one with the universe and the universe is one with me, sending love, light, and plasma of perfect communication in all I do and say. So here's the questions. Okay, can you give some examples of lies that people in power are doing? Well, folks, if you're not comprehending what's coming out, the way you know truth from lies is lies don't enhance your life. They actually create problems in your life. Now, truth brings more freedom, more love, more enjoyment of life. God wants us to enjoy life. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what truth gives us. So if it's not producing that, you can be assured it's a lie. And I'm not going to go into it. You need to become your own best decipher of truth and falsehood. When Christ was teaching the people, there were a lot of people who totally hated what he was saying. Why? Because he was teaching truth, and they were so much in the darkness, they didn't want to believe anything he was telling them about the spiritual nature of our bodies, the spiritual nature of the world, the spiritual nature of the universe. And so if people are shutting things down, they're making it less likely that you can be happier. And they're shutting down your family. They're taking away your homes. They're doing things that are, hurting you. Most likely they're telling lies. So you need to understand that simple fact: truth shall make you free. If it's not making you freer, it's not truth. That's a very simple statement from Jesus. And by their fruit ye shall know them. If they're producing good fruit and good things, you'll know they are being truthful. If they're producing bad things and causing chaos, havoc, all kinds of problems, they're probably lying. Okay. How long do you put crystals in the sun? Well, I usually test. I used to do kinesiology and pendulums and all that stuff, but now that I hear the masters in my mind, I ask them, how long do I need to set these out there? And I hear 15 minutes, so I set them out for 15 minutes. If it's a bigger crystal, sometimes it takes a little longer. But the sun is in the fifth dimension. There's no time. So you can actually set them out, and as long as they gather a little bit of sun, you can bring them right back in and use them for your next client. So, there's no time in the 5D. So just know the 5D the sun is a fifth dimensional orb, and it has no time. It'll do things instantly for you. Okay. How large does crystal need to be to have some effect? Believe it or not, it's not the size that's important. It's the purity. And so if you're having a pure intent and you just got a little crystal, you can use that little crystal, because in this universe, it is as above is below, and as below is above. And so even in the quantum, where the particles are so small, you go through the atomic theory down to the atoms, the protons, the neutrons, the quarks, and all this stuff, the littlest thing has the power of God. And crystals can be minuscule, and they can be used for storing massive amounts of energy. And the small crystals are just as good as big ones. Okay, how can I remove trauma from childhood to not be afraid of love? Okay, that's a very good question. And as I've been alive, early on in my life, I did not feel loved. I never heard my mom say she loved me. I never heard my dad said they loved me. The first person that actually said they loved me was my grandma. And I didn't believe her, because I thought, how can I be loved? My parents don't even love me. And so I had to move out of that paradigm, that belief system, and come into a more loving system. And what happened to me is I became self-destructive. And by the time I was 13, I was doing a lot of stupid stuff that was very self-destructive. And one of the things that happened to me, I went through a near-death experience. And that caused me to come back, and all of a sudden I loved myself. Now, I'm not saying go out and commit suicide, go out and have a near-death experience, but in my life, that's what happened. Now, you can go to a past life regressionist, find the source of that lack of self-love, and you can, once you understand that, you can forgive that and start loving yourself. And so I'd recommend going to a past life regressionist. Vicki does past life regressions, and she does a dang good job. I learned the technique. I don't focus on that as much as Vicki does, but I also can read into why you're having these problems. And so make an appointment, call the office, 435-986-0025, and make an appointment, and we will help you figure that out. Vicki has divine energy. That's why I push more people towards her for this past life regression stuff, because she just is amazing and she does the most fantastic job. I tend to be quicker and may not give it all the attention that you need, so that's why I direct a lot of people to Vicki. Okay. Afraid of divine love or human love is the question. You know, it's interesting. We are all one, but some humans don't understand God's love. And so instead of a giving relationship, they have a taking relationship. And that's not God's love. God's love is giving, constant giving. Looking out what's the best for the other person is true love. When we take love, when we just want sex, or we just want money, or we just want convenience, or we put the partner into slavery, that is not God's love. So it's easy to tell what God's love is, because God's love frees you, makes you feel better, it helps you excel in your life. Being in God's love means that you're giving and you're selfless service. So you can tell when it's a human love or God's love, because human love has attachments and usually they suck your energy out too. So just know that when we're living in God's love, we don't suck the energy out of anybody. In fact, we enhance people's energy. But we don't give it out of our own energy. We bring it in through God's divine beings, through God's energy, which is unlimited. You know, we as humans, we're very limited. And so we tend to not be able to give that love. And I learned a very important experience about my heart. I was giving a lot of my heart's love, and I wasn't receiving anything in return. And so it was causing my heart a lot of problems. And I was told by God, take back your energy. You need your vital force for yourself. And you are not required to give any of your energy to anyone else, because, you know, we're imperfect. And when we give energy, it may not be perfect. So what we do is we ask the higher beings, the cosmic beings of divine light and love, to bring their energy, because they bring it directly from God, the source. And it's perfect energy. So even my healing has shifted over the years, where I ask God to come through and heal people, not me. So it's quite interesting. Okay, to contact the quantum field, transcend through a technique called TM. Well, TM is one of many. And I did TM, and the second time I did it, I went to the void, and my TM teacher told me, oh, you can't go to the void, you haven't done TM long enough. And the thing is, there's no limitation. There's as many teachings of meditation as there are meditators. And you need to do what feels the best to you. You know, I have found that breathing in God's love and breathing out God's love through every chakra is my favorite, because it made me a more loving human being. Because now I have God's love. I love God with all my heart, mind, and soul. And God brings that back into me. And so I love all of humanity now with God's love, which is a really good thing. I start crying about it all the time because it's so powerful. So just know TM is a very good way to meditate, but it isn't the only way. But yeah, I agree. It's an easy way to get to the void in different places. Because I went there the second time. The only problem was I wasn't trained properly at that time. Now I am. Okay, Vicky's past life regression do help to answer the questions like that. She is great. Thank you. That was a great comment during this. I agree with you. Vicky is fantastic at past life regression. So give the office a call and make an appointment with her at 435-986-0025. The office is closed right now, but you know, when you want, get that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to give a blessing to everybody. I'm supposed to do a little bit of toning before the blessing because the energy is just divine. So we'll do the toning first and then the blessing. Okay, we'll give a blessing now. I'm going to just quickly put on the next slide just so you know what's coming up next week. We're going to talk about healing my divine connection. So this will be very good. I am one with the universe is one with me. I and the universe are one. This is a saying from Tai Chi. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, and by direction of the great divine director, the Holy Spirit of the creator of the universe of God, we bless each and every one of you. We call forth the ascended beings, the ascended masters, the ascended healers. We call forth the seven Elohim and their twin flames, and the sevenfold flame of cosmic illumination, and we attach it to your brow. And we bless you that it will guide you and lead you to the truth and to God. We bless each of you that you will take all of what we said today and don't just accept it as fact. Study, pray, ask, and know that you will receive the truth, and the truth will make you free. And if it doesn't lead to your freedom, it is not true. We bless you that by their fruits ye shall know them, and that you will know the truth. We bless you that your bodies will be strengthened, that you will take back your own energy, and use your vital force for yourself. Ask the ascended masters, if you're healers, to come in and heal the people that you are dealing with. Bless them with the energies of the ascended beings of light, love, and healing. We bless you that your bodies will receive the light, love, and healing of the ascended beings of light, love, and healing. And that they will come into your body, leaving you better than when they found you. That your bodies will become more resilient, more strong, more perfected. That everything about you will receive the light and love and quantum energy from the quantum field, which energizes all of us and gives us the love of God. We bless that you will be filled with the love of God, that you will have the love for God in your heart, mind, and soul, and that you will bring that to the higher consciousness of Christ consciousness, and that you will be in the righteous way. And know that Scott is here upon the planet to teach these quantum physicalities and the quantum field energies. And there are many here who are woke, who are teaching these things and need to be listened to. And we bless you that the love of God will fill your entire life, and that abundance, prosperity, and everything that you need and desire in righteousness will be given to you quickly and easily. We seal this blessing upon you and do it in the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, the creator of the universe, and in the name of Jesus Christ, Yeshua ben Joseph. So be it, so it is. God bless all of you. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.